All right, so now we're going to get down to business. We're going to start producing some laser rays. Now, what we want to do is we want to have the lasers coming in every half a second, right? So every half a second, we want the spaceship to produce a laser. Now, the trick is that we want it to be always produced in the same direction that the ship is pointing to. So if the ship is pointing to the right of the screen, we want the laser to come out this way. But if the ship, let's say it's pointing towards this corner, we want the laser to come out that way, right? We don't want it to come out another way because that wouldn't make sense, right? This is the armory of the ship. It's pointing towards the front of the ship, if you will. So what we want to do is we first want to put in a command to produce a laser every half a second, and then we want to go and make sure that it is pointed in the same direction as the ship direction. In fact, that's why we saved the direction of the ship inside the variable instead of just using another command that we have over here called direction, right? We could have just used that here instead of ship direction. But the reason why we didn't do that is because we want to make sure that we're able to use this direction across other costumes as well, as we're going to see in the laser in a second. So first of all, let's just produce the laser every half a second. We're going to say once the flag is clicked and forever if the game is still going on. So we're going to say if game ended equals 0, meaning if the game is still going on. Then for every half a second, we're going to produce a clone of the laser. And we have already dealt with clones before, so you know exactly how that works. So we're just going to make a clone of the laser so that we can work with that. And then once we create that clone, we're going to deal with that clone inside of the laser. Remember how we set up when I started as a clone. We're going to go over there and set that up. But before that, let's also make sure we add a sound effect to it. So let's jump over to sound, and we're going to upload this laser sound that you've downloaded from the downloadable files. Just upload that over here and start using that one. So we're just going to say, or start sound. There we go. Perfect. So every half a second, we create a clone that we're going to say what the clone does in a second, and we produce that sound. All right, so now let's go over to the laser ray and create that clone. First of all, it's just good to get into habit of making sure that we hide the original inside of the code here. I know we tick this over here so it doesn't show it, but it's just a good habit to get into. When the flag is clicked, make sure you hide it. And then once we start as a clone, then we show it. All right, now when we do start as a clone, we want to make sure we're pointing in the ship direction. Remember how I talked about we want to use that variable in other places, like for example the laser costume. This is exactly what I was talking about, right? If we didn't save it in a variable, what direction the ship is pointing to, we would not be able to use it over here. But because we can just take ship direction and put it right here. So point in ship direction. And we also want to make sure that the laser originates from the middle of the screen where the spaceship is at. So we're just going to say go to x equals 0 and y equals 0. And forever, we want this laser, now that it is in the right place and it is pointed in the right direction, we want it to forever just keep going until it reaches one of the edges or it hits one of the asteroids, which we're going to deal with in a second. But first of all, let's just put in forever, move, let's say just 10 steps at a time. And we're going to say, hey, if you ever reach one of the edges, then just delete yourself, right? Because if it reaches one of the edges, that means that it's no longer useful to us. So we can just get rid of it. So if you touch one of the edges, then just delete this clone. All right. So what about when we hit an asteroid? Well, we're going to deal with that inside the asteroid meteor, okay? So that's where the bulk of our program is going to be set. Right now, we have the laser being produced every half a second with the right sound effect, and it's going to have the right movement, but we're going to deal with the laser hitting one of the asteroids later on. For now, let's just make sure this is working properly. I'm going to turn up my sound as well. Very nice. And just make sure that it's pointed in the right direction. So every time I change the direction, you see the laser changes its direction with me as well. Perfect. All right, so just make sure that that's all working properly, and I'll see you in the next video.